Now we're uncredible.
Welcome to the Uncredible Podcast. My name's Jeremy, and I'm Uncredible. If you notice me looking off to this side quite a bit, we're trying out something new this week. Hopefully it works. That's the plan. Trying to record the entire episode through my laptop, which, as you know, is pretty clunky in terms of just being capable of doing this. What it's going to allow me to do, though, is record the entire episode with the transition. So, like, whenever I put, like, a thing up here, like an image or whatever, I kind of want to do that as I'm going through the episode, because typically what happens is I record the whole episode without any of that stuff on screen, and then I have to go back through and kind of listen to the whole podcast again and then drop it in there. So I'm trying to cut my time down a little bit. We'll see how it works. One of the challenges with this process is, at least I don't know how to get a second camera through this, so I'll still have to drop the other camera angle in, but I think that's going to be a little bit easier to do with this process. So just going to try to play around with this and see if it works. My biggest problem so far has been this camera losing focus for no reason. So we'll see how it plays out. I also don't know how long the computer can continue to record, so I guess we'll see. But if you see me looking over here a lot, the reason for that is I'm actually running OBS Studios over here, and that'll be where I call up my images and videos and things like that. So I went out of my way to make this a challenging episode to produce while I host it. So we'll see how it goes. Hopefully down the road, this will allow me to put together a live stream or something like that where I react to stuff or just react online. I've never done live stream, but I think I'm capable. This would allow me to do that. So I also want to be able to do, so you guys saw what happened with the interview last week with Chad. It went great. I thought the interview was great, but I feel like there's a better way still. So I kind of prefer to use whatever chat or video conferencing thing I want, and then just record through the computer and through this camera here. So I want this camera angle too. I prefer it. So all of those things, it's all technology. It's all trying things out. We're up to episode 25. Another thing I noticed last week, you might not have noticed it, but I did. For some reason, the audio from the episode was slightly off. I'm not sure if it's the distance between, like, my voice is hitting this microphone here. I don't know if the distance is weird, but I tried to sync it up in my video editor, and it didn't quite work. We'll see how it works with this, but this is live recording through the microphone. It's all being produced at the same time. So we'll see how it plays out. Like I said, I'm always trying to let you guys see the behind-the-scenes stuff. So, but again, all that to say, if you see me glancing over here a lot, the reason for that is I am producing it. I'm going to have to pull up things on here, make sure it's still recording. So all that's going on. So if you see me looking this way, I'm going to try, maybe not this week, but going forward, if I'm looking over here too much, I'll just divert to this camera and that'll break it up a little bit. But it's all a work in progress. That's the beauty of having a podcast called the Uncredible Podcast, is I can show you guys this stuff and talk about it. It's not like I have to hide it behind a veil. Like, I'm just trying things out. So also, one thing, you'll see me looking down now. I usually keep my notes on screen, but I can't do that because I have the OBS Studios running over here. So that takes up the whole screen. And I would use my larger TV screen, but I'm using that for lighting. So it's just, like I said, it's a work in progress. We'll see how it goes. Hopefully, if the computer can record all this without stalling and it comes out pretty decent, and I don't have too many issues with the fading in and out, we should be okay. So we'll give it a shot. But that said, let's get into the what's going on the Substack next week. And listen, I'll just apologize in advance if there's not too many people committed to the Substack just yet. That's probably good, because this week, we'll talk about it in our main topic, was an absolute disaster for me. I have been getting a lot of Uncredible clips out, so that's good. But last week's article did not post because I didn't have time to record it. You'll see when we get to the running, the week in review for running. I haven't had much time to do that either. So when we get to the main topic, I'll explain it. But suffice it to say, after July 4th holiday weekend, my week just spiraled out of control. So it's just one of those things where it's a life events type of a situation. Life throws things at you and you just have to adjust. And this was one of those weeks where I had to adjust. But what I will say is I am going to try to get last week's article up before Wednesday this week. And then you will also have next week's article, which the plan for that is this article here. It's called "You Are Not on the Precipice of Anything." Let's see if I can get this to work. So let's see if this works. Hey, there we go. I think hopefully that's on screen, and hopefully, yeah, looks like everything's working right. So this article, I was thinking about this when I wrote this. This is like a couple weeks ago. I wrote this article. I realized that there's a lot of times when, like, I'm getting close to my third marathon right now. And a lot of times inside, I feel like I'm getting close to something, like I'm right on the edge of coming over the top of a mountain. And then on the other side of the mountain, everything will get better. And as I was thinking about that, it's almost like as human beings, we're constantly chasing this hypothetical something, but we just never quite get there. And this article kind of talks about that whole pursuit of like if I just get this bachelor's degree, then I should be able to get a job. And then so like you look at your high school diploma, and then your associate's degree, your master's degree, your bachelor's degree. You look at those, and that's just the education side. But you look at it as like, if I can just get over that precipice, then it's almost like this belief that you'll get over a hump and it'll all be downhill from there. And I think that kind of creates an anxiety within us that we're constantly chasing things and we lose sight of what we're doing at the moment. At least I do. And so what I talk about in this article is like you're not. Like if you get that master's degree, you're not on the precipice. It's not like if you get that master's degree, you're going to come over this hump, you're going to walk down the aisle, get your diploma, and it's over. Like it's not over. It just continues. It keeps going. And I think one of the things that kind of leads to struggles in appreciating what's going on in life is this fact that when we hit these milestones, we have these expectations that something's big is going to happen. And when that big thing never happens, we think to ourselves, oh, well, maybe I just need to climb one more hill or one more mountain or come over this one more obstacle. And so that kind of keeps us going. But over time, you start to realize that I describe it in the article as chasing the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. You just never find it. It just keeps moving. And I'm not even sure entirely what it is, but that pursuit seems to take away from your enjoyment in life. And I know even this past week, I'll share some things in the main topic where I was reminded of this article because like I said, I wrote it a couple weeks ago and I was like, life is just happening. It's just happening. And we tell ourselves, we set goals for ourselves. And we tell ourselves if we achieve that, then we move on to the next one or we'll come to something. And we never quite get to whatever that thing is. And I think we hope that we'll climb a mountain, go over the top of it, and just roll down and everything gets easier. But it doesn't. It just there's another challenge ahead. And if you can alter your mindset away from this idea of, I'm this close to the precipice and then we'll be there. And I've noticed that the culture around us, at least in the United States of America, pushes us this way, right? Like one thing that I've noticed over the years with politics is every election my entire life was the most important election of my lifetime. And I remember when I noticed this being repeated over and over and over, I distinctly recall thinking to myself, this is not the last one was, and the one before that was. So they're always going to push on you that this next thing that you need to pursue is the most important thing. And if you just get that thing, then this will happen. And this never happens. And then there's discontent, which leads to, hey, if only we get this person elected or that. And this is part of life. It's just we're constantly chasing. So I wrote this article, You Are Not on the Precipice of Anything. And that'll be coming out hopefully this Wednesday, unless I have another day like I had, or another week like I had this week where things just kind of fell apart on me. Let's see if I have. Hopefully, I'll get better at doing this. But also, we're going to be having some more. I didn't do an Uncredible, the book chapter this week, or a preview. I just didn't have time to do any recording or anything like that. But I am going to continue with these chapters from the book. I'd highly encourage you to check those chapters out. If you go to uncredible.me, what I've done is on the website, there's different, I don't know what you would call them, but like when you scroll through the website, there are columns that go left to right, and the most recent 3 are listed. So like the most recent podcast episodes are listed there. The most recent chapter previews are there. Most recent clip episodes are there. So, and then there's some categories there of like parenting, running. The most recent articles that I've written on those topics are there, but you can go there and go listen to them. I don't know how much progress I'm going to make on this, but I think I have chapter 1 pretty well written, and I'm doing really short, like 3 to 4 minute snippets. So highly encourage you to check that out. Those audio recordings are also going to be on the Uncredible readings on Spotify. So check that out. Though they're good. I hope it's going to be relatable. The whole idea there is to write a book that people can relate to, and I consider myself uncredible, and I'm hoping other people who are just like regular people will relate to that. So check that out. Also, I have been doing, this week was one of my better weeks for the Uncredible clips. So what I've been doing, well, that's not ideal. Let's see if we can fix that. There we go. So what I've been doing is I've been trying really hard to get these clips out. And I think I got 2 episodes this week. And then when I describe to you my week and how it's been, you'll understand why the clips didn't get out. And hopefully I'll get back on this track. You got to understand, too, when we get to the week in review, there was a lot going on with that, too, because I'm 2 weeks out now. Today I'm recording on Saturday the 11th. So 2 weeks from now, I'll be driving overnight to Ohio to run the Halfway to the Holidays marathon. So I've got a lot going on. This week actually turned into kind of a taper for me, so we'll get into all of that. But the clips are coming out. If you're more of a YouTube person, I'm trying to get these clips based on main topics and things like that, and trying to get some shorter ones. Dropped probably 24 clips in the last couple of weeks for people to share. I'm trying to put some on Instagram, but not a ton. But yeah, more clips will be coming out. I'm trying to get the old episodes and the most recent ones out there. But so far, it's been kind of a work in progress trying to get those up. Oh, my printer just went crazy. I don't know if you can hear that or not. Yeah, it's coming through. So yeah, that's the sound of my printer. That's one of the challenges too with doing this like sort of live, so to speak. I won't be able to edit that out, so it's just going to have to roll with it. So that's kind of what's going on with the Substack. Now let's do a transition to I'm debuting every week a new song from the Uncredible album. Last week we debuted The Uncredible. So this week what I want to do is I want to reveal or debut a song called Evaluation. This will be track number 2. And this particular track, it's kind of important to me. It has kind of an edge to it. It's got kind of a hip-hop feel to it. And basically I wrote this song because this is how I feel, and I think a lot of people feel when our managers or our leaders start evaluating us. So I'm going to go ahead and get this playing, then I can maybe fix the printer problem while this plays. But here is the song called Evaluation. This will be track number 2 from the Uncredible album. Let's see if I can get this going here.
It's time for your annual job evaluation. Follow me.
Yeah, you said you expected more. That's rich coming from you. I ran a marathon that morning and worked the night shift too. You sit there grading effort like you know what these people do. You wrote my evaluation, but I didn't see you at mile 22.
Needs improvement.
I've already proved it.
Lacks communication.
Funny, I don't remember hearing from you.
Attitude problem.
Maybe my problem's with you.
Meets expectations.
What's even expected of you? Get back to work.
Who you think you're talking to?
Yeah. You got your spreadsheets, I got 20 years. You got your meetings, we got blood, sweat, and tears. You got your title, we got experience. You got your opinions, we got the evidence. You tell us where we fall short, you tell us what we need to do. You tell us how to do our jobs from a room with a different view. You sign the evaluation, but we never respected any of you.
Needs improvement.
I've already proved it.
Lacks communication.
Funny, I don't remember hearing from you.
Attitude problem.
Maybe my problem's with you.
Meets expectations.
What's even expected of you? Get back to work.
Who you think you're talking to?
Yeah, you know my numbers, you know my rank, you know my attendance, you know what's in the database. But you don't know my family, you don't know what's at stake. You don't know my pain, you don't know the sacrifices behind the raises you take. Needs improvement.
We've already proved it.
Lacks communication.
We never hear from you.
Attitude problem.
Maybe our problem's with you.
Meets expectations. We're expecting more from you. Get back to work.
Who you think you're talking to?
Get back to work.
Who you think you're talking to? You wrote our evaluations, but we never respected you.
So that is Evaluation, and that is the second track. I'll put links in the show notes for where to go and listen to that. All these songs are on Suno. I'm working through the process of making these available for Spotify and things like that. It's more of a technological side of things than anything. But if you want to listen to the entire album is on Suno. I'll have a link to that specific song. But I wrote that song because I've just been in, when you start running marathons and you have your master's degree and you're in the regular workforce, you get to this point where you're sitting across the desk from people who are evaluating you, and you're just like, this can't be real. And I remember a number of times when I've been evaluated by people who couldn't hang in a marathon. They don't have a master's degree, and I'm sitting across from them and I'm thinking, what qualifies you specifically to evaluate me? You know, and I've done evaluations where I just had a stack of work, and they, you know, it's a corporate thing. They have to give you a certain grade or whatever to make it look like they're paying attention when 90% of the time they're not. They're just checking boxes. And it's super frustrating for those people who, you know, the whole album is called Uncredible because I'm trying to look at this from the average person's perspective. Now my perspective on it is I run marathons. I have a master's degree, magna cum laude. What makes you capable of evaluating me? Now, that's my perspective. But then I look at some of the OGs of some of these manufacturing plants that I've been in, and you know, they could tear your entire truck down and rebuild it, and they know their machine that they run for the last 20, 30 years inside and out. And then you've got like new people who just graduated coming in and going, well, I don't know that you really put in the effort, and you can't measure the knowledge that they have that way. So I just, you know, I wrote that because I was like, man, when I look at some of the people who are not at the actual doing the work stage of a company, when they're in offices, you know, they're in air conditioned offices, and those people who are doing the work are, you know, sweating it out. I look at that and I'm like, there needs to be a different sort of understanding between, and I'm sure it's not everybody, but there just needs to be this sort of understanding and a level of appreciation coming downward, where it's like, hey, I wouldn't want to be out, you know, I'd rather sit in front of a computer too than do this work out here in the heat and whatever. So there's never, I shouldn't say there's never, but there's a lot of times there's not that mutual respect or appreciation for what either side does. But a lot of times it's downward, where it's like a lot of times these people who are working on the floor building the product or packing the product or moving the product, if it wasn't for them, that cushy job that the evaluator in this particular case has wouldn't even exist. So that's track number 2 off of the Uncredible album, which will be coming out. I mean, it's coming out slowly. We're going to release a song every single week. Link in the show notes to check that out. So now let's get into our weekly update, and I got to queue up a clip here, but I'm not going to fire that up too quickly. So I got to rely on my notes. A lot of times I don't remember what I've run, but this week we'll talk about it in the main topic. But man, this has been one heck of a week for me. Had a car accident on Sunday night heading to work. My first night of the week was Sunday night. Hit a deer. I'll share more about that in the main topic. But that just upended my entire week. Now, normally I would try to still get my runs in, but what ended up happening was, so last Saturday was July 4th. I ran 4 miles. Sunday, I was able to get 10 miles in. It was a good, it was easy mileage, but, it was a good 10 miles, and I thought, sweet. I think I ended up with close to 40 for the week, and then got some rest. I sleep during the day. Hopped in my car to head to work that night, and then bang, hit a deer. And so I had to turn around, drive home, switch cars, which, you're so frustrated in the moment that you hit the deer that you don't have appreciation for the fact that you can go home and just grab another car. No biggie. I probably could have driven that car all the way to work and back. It just wouldn't have been a good idea. So, but anyway, so obviously the frustration from that, stress from that hits me overnight while I'm working, and I'm thinking through what can I do? So I immediately go home to assess the situation. And I basically pulled all the bad parts off. The hood, the fender, scraped. I mean, the headlight for this thing was in a million pieces. Just tried to look it over, but I peeled everything off. It wasn't drivable, especially with the headlight out, but the bumper was hanging. A lot of pieces were loose. So I'm like, okay, so we'll just deal with this later. But that took me till like 10, 11 o'clock. And if you remember last week, I think it was last week, might have been the week before. No, it was last week. I had like zero sleep. I slept maybe 3 hours a day all week. And just a terrible week for sleep. And I really made it a priority to start getting rest. So I thought, you know what? This is the week. It's 3 weeks out from my next marathon. I don't want anything hanging me up going into this marathon. And I thought maybe the universe, so to speak, is telling me, hey, maybe chill out. Just chill out. Don't kill yourself. Just chill. So I took Monday off. Started to feel pretty good, actually, physically. I've been really struggling with one particular pain, and that's in my right calf on the left side. Just kind of soreness. It's nothing major. Before the Buffalo Marathon, it felt like shin splints, but then I started to realize this is all in the calf. So started to massage it, stretch it, do some single leg calf raises, all those things. So Tuesday I was feeling good. I went out and did 5 miles. Nothing I could do on the car. Wednesday I went out and did 6 miles, but it was I don't know. I did the 6 miles, but it was very easy 6 miles. I will say this, one of the things that's keeping me from doing longer runs right now is not only the fact that I'm getting close to this next marathon, but I'm also out of gels, so I don't have anything to fuel with, and I don't want to go out and spend the money because I need that money for other things. So we're just going to save up and get there. Yeah, so didn't do anything Thursday or Friday. I had also put in for another position at my work, and the interview was Thursday morning. Just wasn't in my headspace in order to do the running side of things. And as I get closer to what is going to be a 2-week taper, I was just kind of in my mind going, don't push anything. Don't go crazy with any of this stuff. So Friday, the headlight came in. I'm going to talk about the car repairs for the main topic, so I don't want to get too much into the car accident. But suffice it to say, for the running side of it, I'm just treating this week like a partial taper. I'm still planning to run today and tomorrow, maybe 5 or 6 miles just to keep the legs fresh. But I think I'm going to benefit the most from the rest. So, but what I wanted to do, I took out my GoPro for my 6 mile run the other day, and was really just trying to test out. I have a plan for the next couple marathons that I'm going to do. This one specifically. I was talking to Daryl Perry a couple weeks ago when we did our interview, and I got this idea when I was at the Buffalo Marathon that I would try to take pictures and document the people who are volunteering. Now, if everything's going good, I probably won't have time to do that, but I thought one way I could do that is if I had my GoPro on me somewhere, and I've done this before in the past just to document my runs, but it's not very good, and you'll see that in the video that I'm going to share. But I thought, let's take it out and let's see how it looks. And what I think I'm going to do is I think I'm going to try to get a clip for my hat and see if that's a little bit more stable of a video. But I want to try to find a way to get some video of these water stations and what's going on there. I want to capture the runner's perspective, in these marathons, because you always get these videos of people, taking photos of the marathon runner, but you don't see their perspective looking out. And because of the way things went in Buffalo, where I had to walk, I was like, just kind of like, what am I doing here? And I really could have had the opportunity to flip that whole thing. And if I'm prepared for it and I'm capable of doing it, then I might as well do that. So I thought I would do that. But in order to practice for that, I took the GoPro out the other day for a 6-mile run. And so I've sped this up, but like different things happened during that run that I thought were, I've shared stuff like this, and I don't know that I've ever been able to share it. And I hope this works, because this video specifically was giving OBS Studios some trouble. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to cue this video up. Hopefully this will work. And I'm going to talk you through it. It's about a 4-minute video, but it's a 6-mile run sped up, and then I stop it at certain points. So we'll see. We'll see if this works. So here's the run. I'm trying to think what I need to do to make it appear. Probably that. Oh, there it goes. Okay. So here I am starting out. This is the beginning of my run. And you can see I'm just kind of flying through this. Should be on mute. Yeah, it's on mute. So this is sped up 1,800%. So this is flying. But so I'm running through. I'm going to drink some water. And you'll notice, even when this isn't sped up, you'll notice the like wobbling back and forth. It's because it's a chest camera. So that's where I got to figure something out. That's why I think I'm going to get a clip for my hat. So that was mile 1 right there, I believe. I think this might be inverted too. Where are we at here? Okay, so right up here is the first thing I wanted to share with you. And I've talked about this old man before. Maybe I can pause it when we get close to him. So I'm coming down. It's right up here. So I made the video slow down here. This guy, so see how wobbly it is? It's just back and forth. But if you look to the left here, I'll pause it when we get close to him here. Let's see if we get it there. Oh, I missed him. Oh, well. So anyway, this guy, it'll come up again. So this is about mile 2 in my run. And this is the only guy in my community who consistently runs every single day. And I'm always fascinated when I run every single day that there's different people who run like once a month. But this guy, this old gentleman, he's like 60 or 70, absolute unit of a guy out there running. If you follow me on Instagram, where I'm at right now in this run, it's about mile 2.5. This is where the dog chased me down a couple weeks ago. So we're running along. I'll have to get better at pausing this. So this stretch is mostly uphill. It's like a slow incline, and I'm coming up on a pretty significant intersection here. You see all the cars? It doesn't bother me, but I do run against traffic so I can see them coming at me. So there's that intersection, Red Barn. Now I'm going to slow it down here because what happens up ahead here, you're going to see me cross the road and then cross back. But I slow it down because what happens is there is a semi driving towards me on the wrong side of the road, but I don't notice that till after I cross over. So watch this. This is the kind of crazy stuff you see when you're out there running. It's like, what are people doing? So I think on the right there, I think they were making a delivery for some drainage pipe, and you'll see it. But this semi, you don't really see it because of the movement of my chest. He's driving on the wrong side of the road. And I don't think these guys are looking for runners. But it's like, what am I supposed to do with that? So I have to cross the street, and then I cross back over. But this is the kind of stuff that you're like, man, could you just not do that? Like, drive the wrong side of the road. But he's got to do what he's got to do, I suppose. So then I get going again. If you see me lift my hand up, that usually means it's a mile marker. It'd be mile 4 coming up here. So so it's still uphill here. as we get towards the, you're going to see a turn right here. I'm going to turn to the right, and this is all downhill. This is a fast area for me. Typically, I have to slow things down here. But up ahead, so we're getting into like mile 4.5, closing in on mile 5 right here. So up ahead here, so this is a gas station I go by every day. You're going to see me get off onto the sidewalk, and I want you to pay attention to the right. I think I slowed it down, so it's not that big of a deal. Look at it. Here he is again, this guy. So I'm out here. So this is sped up 1,800 times. I'm out here on this day, I was out there for hour and 20 minutes. This guy's out there still doing it. Still, I mean, I'm running one direction, he's running the other. We're the only two guys, so it's like this absolute unit of an old guy just absolutely killing it out here. The only guy in my community. See him just about every day I go out. He's constantly putting it in. He's not fast, but he is steady. I mean, you don't see it in the video that I showed, but it took me a while to pass him. I saw him. I followed him for about a mile because I didn't want to blow past him. I wanted to make sure when I passed him respectfully. So then I pass him, and what's going to happen next, this light up ahead, you're not going to see it. But this is the kind of dangerous stuff that people do, and I don't know if it's because they're just paying attention to the road, but you're going to see me look to my left. You're going to see the camera kind of shape, like face the left slightly, and then you're going to see a car turn, and it doesn't look as dramatic as it was to me, but watch what happens. So I look to the left, and there's a car turning right, and you can't really see it, but like, I don't know that he even sees me. Now, technically, he does have a green light at this point, but man, that's one of those situations where you would like a driver to yield to the pedestrian or at least pay attention, because I am like my left foot is almost into the road here, and I actually slowed down a bit. I didn't realize when I looked back that he had his turn signal on. He may not have had it on, but that was pretty much one of the closer calls I've had out running. So that's pretty much what a 6-mile run looks like for me. If you ever look at my Strava, that's the visual. Sped up at 1,800 times. But those are the kinds of things I see all the time. Here's some construction work, and then we go down into the city. So I don't really need to get into all of that. So we'll close that out. And so that's pretty much our weekend review. I'm going to switch up now and get to what's going on in the news. But before I do that, I want to do an adjustment on the camera because you can see the lights are flickering like crazy. So anyway, I had to stop for a minute and fix the lighting was going crazy. I hope I figured it out. I had to re-record this section twice. We'll cut some of that out. But anyway, my takeaway for the weekend running was I'm prioritizing rest and recovery. And that old gentleman that I shared the video of, that's the kind of guy you want to be when you get older. You want to be that guy who's out there consistently getting it done. And my son and I now, we joke saying that that's going to be me in about 20 years, just still out there putting in the miles. So let's switch gears here and get into our uncredible take on what's going on in the news. All right, so what I'm seeing a lot on my news feed, now I didn't have a chance to do a whole lot of listening to podcasts and things like that this week, but what I did have time to do was scroll social media, which maybe wasn't the best thing. And I'll tell you what's popping up all over my social media feed is obviously the Charlie Kirk pre-trial, I guess it is, and just this constant conversation about Candace Owens being completely wrong. I don't know. I haven't followed it closely enough to know what she has said and what she hasn't said, but my take on Candace Owens is that I've mentioned this a couple weeks ago about her, and I don't even want to use the term conspiracy theorists, but people who approach the news with questions or skeptics perspective where everything's a question, but there's never an answer. I'm not really sure how to deal with people like that, because if you're always asking questions and never offering a hypothesis as to what the data does suggest, then it puts you in a weird place. Now, so I'm kind of dealing with the focus issue here, because whenever the phone goes off, it loses focus. So I'll have to work on that in the future. But what I was trying to say was the the constant skepticism of someone like Candace Owens is difficult to measure. You can't ever critique it. And when you don't offer a hypothesis, nobody can ever challenge you, but you're constantly challenging everybody else who has a hypothesis. Like, it's kind of a weird position to take. So all over my news feed has been this Charlie Kirk thing. And you know what I've noticed is neither side, both sides are super confident in their position, and neither side is very convincing. Like, the skeptic's perspective from either person's, like, if you're making an argument either direction, it's pretty easy to do. I've seen some joke memes about how Tyler Robinson fully disassembled his gun so that he could jump off the roof and then fully reassembled it so he could leave it for the FBI to find. There's all kinds of stuff, and I don't even know. I haven't been following it that closely. I'm not really sure. There's been all kinds of, like, the judge is allowing some things to come out, but other things he's not allowing to come out. And the one thing that supposedly was a special angle that showed Tyler Robinson doing all the shooting and all the activities he wouldn't let out. And of course, the conspiracy theorists are like, oh, the one thing that would have told us what we wanted to hear, we can't see it. So what I'm noticing, though, is I talked about this early on in the podcast, where the news cycle is constantly changing. And this is the first thing that's really affected the news cycle in this way, where for the last, Epstein was kind of doing it, and then they threw the UFO thing in there. But the Iran war was pretty much dominating the news cycle until now. And now you're not hearing a whole lot about the Iran situation. And I think that's devolving, and it feels to me, this is just my gut feeling, it feels to me like this Charlie Kirk thing, regardless of how you feel about what happened. If you think Tyler Robinson definitely did it, or you think if you're full Candace Owens and Israel and Erica Kirk are in it together, like, no matter where you're at on that spectrum, this seems to, even with the podcasters, to have taken, it's like a distraction from what's really going on. And I don't know if what's really going on is Iran. That's what I'm most interested in. It seems like that's been a complete screw up. Like, that whole thing is a complete mess up. But it just seems like ever since we started this war, there's been just constantly things being thrown at the media. But what's weird about this one, this Charlie Kirk one specifically, is up until recently, you could have safely said that the podcasters or podcast media, independent media, whatever term you want to use, you could have said that they were sort of in opposition to what's known as legacy media, like Fox News, CNN, MSNBC. And those people would have been propagating the distractions, where now you're starting to see the podcasters be the distraction. And what you've got right now, you've got like Megyn Kelly, Tucker Carlson, Ben Shapiro, Candace Owens. I don't know if Joe Rogan's in on this or not, but they're all just like infighting with each other and about this Charlie Kirk thing and the Candace Owens thing. It's all, and Piers Morgan's another one. It's wrapped up in it as well. They're so focused on this that they're not really talking about the other thing. And I say that hesitantly because I haven't been that involved with the conversations, but that's just been my take on it because of the way my entire news feed completely shifted to that. And keep in mind, I'm very aware of how my viewing and my likes and comments affect my algorithm. So I'm very particular about, like, if I see a Charlie Kirk clip from the courtroom or whatever, I try not to stay on it too long, because I know if I stay on it too long, or if I like it or I comment on it, I'm going to get 15 more, and it's just going to be this constant rolling thing. So, but what I'm noticing is that none of this seems trustworthy, right? Neither side seems to be offering up a solution that makes any sense of the evidence that's been discovered. And all of the conspiracy theories have some level of validity, but so does the actual thing that the media is presenting to us as what probably happened, which is that Tyler Robinson climbed up there, shot Charlie Kirk, and left. But then there's, you rewatch the video of the shooting, and you're like, yeah, what is this little thing that's moving around on his shirt, and why does his shirt move the way that it does? And those are all valid questions that they're not really trying to answer, or they don't really have a solution for. So it's weird to me that both sides can't seem to come to a conclusion, but they're both confident that they're right about whatever they've come to. So it's just kind of weird. But then I wrote in my notes, I was like, none of them seem trustworthy, none of it, and maybe that's the point, right? Maybe that's the point, to keep people on edge and at odds with each other, like what you're seeing with Candace Owens and Ben Shapiro specifically, just going after each other. It's sort of creating this fight mentality, and the same thing's happening, not only in the podcast world, but it's also happening in the comment section. So the people who there are little Ben Shapiros and little Candace Owenses all over social media, some of which are probably bots that are just regurgitating stuff. I don't know. But it just sort of seems like that's the point, because if we're so busy arguing over, first of all, nobody knows what happened, actually. But if we're all arguing, if we're all confident in our position, and we all have algorithms that are feeding us more data that confirms our own belief system, right? Confirmation bias is just feeding us, yep, you're right, yeah. And then you go to a comment and you just defend it, we're at odds with each other. Meanwhile, the government's doing God knows what in Iran. It's just and again, I say Iran because that seems like the one big thing that they're distracting us from, but who knows? Maybe that's a distraction too. I don't know. It just seems like what is coming out of all of this information is nothing but division and distraction from what the political class is doing. Because up until this started, there was quite a bit of heat on the Iran war situation. Trump was fielding all kinds of questions about what are we doing. The MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, has, from what I can tell, completely collapsed. Trump said it's over. What does that mean? Have we lost the war? But that's kind of taking a back seat to this Charlie Kirk trial, which, by the way, Americans love. I was thinking about this the other day. Americans love trials. They love trials. Remember the Johnny Depp thing? And I can't remember what Amber? What was that? What was that lady's name? Amber Heard? Is that what it was? I don't follow this stuff. But then I was talking to my son. I think the big podcast thing back in the day was Serial, where it was just people, or this lady rehashing a court case. People love that stuff. They really do love that stuff, and they get very passionate about it and confident in their view. So anyway, my uncredible take on all this news coming out, I have not spent hardly any time. I don't have a position on it. I'll tell you what my thoughts are. I saw the Charlie Kirk video when it first came out, his shooting. It looked real to me. There were some people who thought it was AI. I think he got shot or something else. But I also know that the videos I've seen of the movement of the shirt and bullet exit wounds and some of the conversations about bullets and how they fly and a lot of that doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. So, and what they did with, it would be neat to see an actual explanation, and maybe it's just not in my feed, of why the crime scene was handled the way that it was. The guy pulling the chip from the SD card from the camera, and I mean they were quick to, maybe he was a high profile guy, so maybe they're in an emergency you do this type of a situation, but man, they were quick to clean that up. They knew exactly what they were going to do, and there's nothing wrong with that in the sense that if they were prepared for it and they had measures in place. I mean, Charlie was doing filming. There was probably a contingency plan of what happens if this happens. They thought it through, so maybe that was just what they do. But their reaction to the situation certain people seemed really weird to me. So I don't know, but what I do know is it's weird to look at it. But the same kind of weirdness, I think that's a good word. The same kind of weirdness surrounded JFK assassination too. It's like, oh, that was, the way he got shot was weird and open to conspiracy. And none of the findings ever made sense. Even to this day, there's things that you're like, that doesn't seem to track. So, but anyway, my uncredible take on all this news cycle transition is we're seeing it's kind of like a UFO thing where this is taken over the media, and it's serving as a distraction. And I'm not even sure if it's not, like, in a way, this news stuff is like entertainment it's like real entertainment for Americans. Something for us to, it's like an episode of something for us to watch and engage with, which is unfortunate because, I mean, there's real life things happening there. But my total uncredible take on this whole thing is it just all seems like a distraction from what's really going on. And if I'm totally honest, the two things that I think of when I say what's really going on, it's not conspiratorial. It's just data centers and Iran war. Like what's going on there? This seems like a distraction from those two things. The more I read about these data centers, not from an environmental standpoint, but just like what do they need all these data centers for? It's a little weird. The idea that we could be it could be a surveillance thing where we have a surveillance state where they can track where we go. I don't know if it was, this could have been total BS, but I saw something where I want to say England, that seems to be the easy target for some of this fake stuff too, though, has cars that are going to be able to tell when your eyes aren't on the road. There's cameras in the steering wheel or something, and when if you look off the road, it'll give you a warning. The question is, how far does that go, and where does that data go? And, we definitely could be heading towards a place where you get tickets in the mail for doing things that are illegal, that cameras caught, that no police officer saw. The government just sends you the bill, and most people will pay it. It's because toll roads are that way right now. They just scan your license plate for tolls. So, my uncredible take on the news right now, though, is that it's just a complete distraction. I haven't looked at the Charlie Kirk thing close enough to really have anything educated to say on it. But like I said, this is not about being credible. This is about being uncredible. And I think the average person, there are some people who are the average person who are very passionate about this, but just looking at it from the outside looking in, it just seems like something that is dividing Americans and keeping us distracted or entertained. If entertain's the right word, but it does seem like a form of entertainment. In a sick and disturbing way. So that's kind of my take. All right, so let's turn our attention to our main topic and look at the world, look at life through an uncredible lens. All right, so I have a lot of images to show here, so hopefully the focus stays correct up here and doesn't. It's doing it right now. It's freaking me out when I see this thing go crazy, but it's staying pretty clear. So the clips. Let me see if is that. Let me see what that is. Okay. So I wanted to share my week. Normally for my when I look at the world through an uncredible lens, this main topic, I usually have like a subject to talk about, but this is one of those weeks where it was a hard week. It was a difficult week to get through. Just frustration after frustration. But I want to start with something positive, and I want to show you just how this week went for me, just in terms of like the ups and downs, highs and lows. And I want to start with this here. So this is a picture from my cameras. This was for those who've been following my journey in the podcast and on the Substack, you know that it took a year for my wife, over a year ago now. She went and got a free pool, and it took us a year to get this pool installed. And this is a picture from our cameras on July 4th. My wife really wanted the whole family to get in the pool, and my girls have swam quite a bit. I don't know if my son had been in the pool. We'd all been in the pool individually, or a couple of us together at a time, but this was our first time all getting in the pool and swimming together. So this was a fun little family event. Things were great. It just kind of felt, it did, I talked about at the beginning of this episode how you're not on the precipice of anything. This was one of those moments where I really was like, man, things are good. The stress and the frustration that went into putting this pool up, and, just was able to reminisce and relax and have fun and see my whole family happy that this all came together. And this was really a great learning experience for us because there was conflict between my wife and I on this issue, and I didn't want to have any part of it, but then I had to, because it was so hard to get set up, I had to, swallow my pride and help out. And in the end, I did a lot of the work for it. They did a lot of work getting it there. My girls did a lot of work digging and helping me level. My son did an incredible amount of work, both on tearing it down and helping dig and haul dirt. I mean, just what we learned, I hope, as a family and certainly as individuals, is I hope I taught them that we don't give up, even if we don't know. I screwed this pool up so many times, and they watched me screw it up. I got mad. I got frustrated. And so this was kind of like the culmination of all of that stuff. So yeah, this was a good day. This was a good night. July 4th, my son did some stuff with his truck, which I shared on Instagram. And everybody just had fun. Some of them just did their own thing. My kids are getting older, so we said, hey, go do your own thing. My wife and my girls went to see fireworks. My son and I stayed home because we weren't interested in doing all the firework thing. I think it was just like a really, really good night. So I share all that because literally at the end of this, after this day, things just spiraled. And now the next morning, I already told you I went and ran 10 miles. And then I go to work about 10 o'clock at night. And we'll see if we can get this a little bigger. I hop in my car. I only drive about 6 minutes to work. It takes about 6 minutes for me to get to work driving. I've even considered running it. It's close enough where I could hypothetically run. And I'm driving. I'm not even a mile away from my house. And boom, just a bang. Like, I'm probably going 40 miles an hour if I'm honest. There's this hill that I drive down, and then it goes to an incline. And if you don't push the gas pedal, you sort of roll to about 40, 45, and then when you hit the hill, it slows back down. You just coast. You just kind of roll with it. And then at the top of that hill, it turns to 45. So you're just kind of like, that's somewhere between 35 and 40 at this point. But it's at night, and every time I've ever hit an animal, I've seen the animal. Even if it was a glimmer of the eye, I saw it and then I hit it. This was the first time I've ever hit an animal where here I am driving and bang, just bang. And I was so shook by this hit to my car. I've been in accidents. Listen, I've been in some pretty serious accidents. One that really shook me up, and my kids too, was many years ago. There was a boulder, probably a boulder the size of a basketball on the side of the road. I didn't see it. It was in Pennsylvania, and I was driving home from Christmas. It was a snowy day, and man, I hit that boulder, and it flat spotted the rim on my tire and blew the airbags out and everything. This was comparable to that in terms of the sound, and didn't see anything. And I literally, normally when I am in an accident, I pull off to the right. I genuinely thought I might have hit somebody. This is a road that people walk on the side of, even at night. And we've got these scooters in our city, so that's another thing that I had to kind of consider. But man, the bang was just, it was brutal. So I pulled off to the side, and I'm sitting there like, your mind goes a million miles a minute trying to figure out what the heck just happened. And I get out, and I'm looking around like, what the heck? And I didn't really want to look at the damage at first. I wanted to see if I had hit somebody, because in my head I was like, man, I hope I didn't just hit a person. Like, that's where my head was. And I look across, and I see this deer just, laid out on the side of the road. And then, not my best moment. I screamed as loud at the top of my lungs. I dropped the F-bomb as loud as I could, because I'm looking at my car going, I just got this car. I only paid $2,500 for this car. It's got 275,000 miles, but it's a good car. And I was looking forward to driving this for like a couple of years, and just had mentally kind of gotten comfortable with the vehicle. And I'm looking at it going, goodness gracious. So then there was a lady, I think she took the deer. There was a lady in a house who kind of came out and said, is everything all right? 'Cause she heard me yell. And I said, yeah, no, I just need to quit hitting deer. This is ridiculous. So hop in my car, drive all the way home, park it, take my other car, go back to work. And all night I'm just sort of thinking, looking at the pictures, trying to figure out how bad is this. At the time, you could see the shroud underneath was rubbing on the tire, and I thought that I did some damage to the tire itself. But it did not do anything to the suspension, nothing to the radiator. Everything was in good shape. A lot of things are bent, I'll say that. But so that was Sunday night, and yeah. So I immediately go online and I order a headlight for $130 off eBay, and that thing got here super fast. I mean, this thing got here so fast that I forgot that this all happened in 1 week. By yesterday was Friday. By yesterday, that thing was here, and I was getting ready to work on it. And by the time we got things pieced together, I was like, did this all happen this week? So what I'll do is I'll show you. So this was, let me go back for a second. So this was the side view of the vehicle right after I did the damage. This was the morning after. And then, so that's that. And then I'm going to transition here to the repair work we did. So we got I don't think my cursor is going to show up, but we got the headlight installed, and I got the hood bent down. Obviously the old fender is not going to go in there, but I do need to find a fender. But today I was actually able to take it out, drove about 30, 40 miles with it out on not on the highway, but on Route 62, which is like 55 miles. Ran great. Car's running good. So I'll drive it like this. I don't care. That doesn't bother me one bit. So yeah, we got the car. I labeled this car fix, but we got the car fixed, and it's runnable. It's usable. But it took a lot of work to get there. And on top of all this, so last Friday, we'll get this off screen. So last Friday, I applied for a position that I had at my workplace before. And when you do that, when you think about switching jobs, your mind goes to a lot of different places. Like, should I take it? Should I not take it? Is this a bad idea? Is that a good idea? And they scheduled the interview for Thursday morning. So that kind of disrupted my week as well. So there's just all this stuff going on. And it just really turned this week into a complete disaster in terms of, like, having plans to do things and wanting to do them and get them done. You just couldn't do it. And so it was one of those weeks where you could have planned the week however you wanted to, and life just said no. It just said, no, this is what you're going to get this week. And today, a little bit yesterday, after things were getting a little bit closer to fixed on the car and came to a resolution on the job. I'm not going to switch jobs. It's a long story on that. I'm not going to get into that here on the podcast. It was probably one of the most unprofessional interviews I've ever been a part of. And it's a long story, but long story short, they made the decision for me because, I mean, it's just, yeah. Somebody might see this. I don't care. It was the most unprofessional thing I've ever been a part of in my career. And I've shared this before, but I've worked in close to 20 different jobs, and this was the most unprofessional thing I've ever witnessed. But all that to say this, they made the decision easy. And as I come to the end of this week and I look at how it started with that July 4th, that high, and then how it just took a turn for the worst. And now I'm kind of back to a good place because the car's put back together. I look at it and I'm like, this is what I mean by Uncredible. This is the essence of Uncredible. Somebody shared on Instagram today, like, why do I run in the mornings? I'm sorry, I can't remember who it was. I scroll through this stuff like crazy. But I remember she said something like, the reason I get up at 5 in the morning is because the rest of my day is my job, my family, my community. I got all these other things going on. So I get up so early because I have to make time for myself. And that's kind of the heart of Uncredible, is these life circumstances we don't allow them. Uncredible people don't allow them to kick them while they're down. Like if you kick somebody who's uncredible while they're down, they just keep getting up. This is the essence of what it is to be uncredible. It's not, oh, I go to my job every day. That's average. That's mediocre. That's every day. I excel at my job every day, and I'm a half decent husband and father. That's the expectation, right? I go above and beyond at work. I go above and beyond for my family. I go above and beyond for myself, whether it's running marathons or doing triathlons or doing these high rocks things or whatever it is. That's where we start entering into this world of Uncredible, where you're doing things that the normal person says, yo, what are you doing? It's both incredible and mediocre and average. Like, you're nobody special. I'm nobody special, right? But this So this car damage, this hitting this deer, could have been $1,000, $2,000. This could have been scrap, right? This car could be junk. I could have put it through my insurance. But being Uncredible means I'm going to handle this. Now, if you use your insurance, that's fine. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. But what I'm getting at is like, this comes at me. I turn my car around. And when I drove back to work after I got my car, I thought to myself, this is just not normal. I know people, this is no joke. I know people who take that night off of work, right? You're driving to work, you hit a deer, you go home because you hit a deer, you can't make it to work. I didn't do that. I was 15 minutes late to work, and I still made it to work, did my job the whole week, fixed the car this week, still got some of my runs in this week. This is the essence of what it is to be Uncredible, and I don't know how to define it, but this is what it is. It's, if I was a wealthy, podcaster, news person, actor, Joe Rogan, comedian, whatever type, when I hit this deer, it'd be nothing. Just send it to some guy and he'll fix it and everything's okay. I don't have to worry about it. But what makes the 85 to 90% of us Uncredible is that this stress is ours and we handle it. That's what makes it Uncredible. And again, I don't know fully how to describe it other than to just keep getting on this podcast and keep sharing those songs like Evaluation and the Uncredible last week. This is the essence of Uncredible. Average people doing incredible things, but still looked at as just average. Like, what's special about you? I showed up to work all week last week. I sat in an interview. None of these people knew that I ran, told my son this today. I said, by the end of this week, I'll probably end up with 26 miles, and I'm looking at that as a failure, right? Most people didn't even walk 5 miles this week. Most people parked their car and took a few vacation days after they hit the deer. Being Uncredible, you're not most people in that sense, okay? So I wanted to share one last photo because I think, let's see if I got this right. I think this captures Uncredible. So it's not just that I fixed the car. It's not just that I went to work. It's not just that I didn't let this keep me down. It's that I brought my family along with me, and here's a picture of my kids and I. And, I'm so proud of my son and my daughter for helping out, and actually both daughters. I shouldn't just say the one because even my youngest today was helping out. But my wife caught this picture, and I'm glad she did because I'm not usually good at capturing these things because when I'm in these modes of trying to fix these cars, do a project, I get pretty hyper-focused on the thing. But, my son he's surpassed me on some of his things, and I've trained him to be, I call him a monster because he's not afraid of work like this, and we just had a blast today. This was from last night, but this morning we did some more work. I shared a picture. I don't have the picture queued up here, but I shared a picture online of he got this idea to put ratchet straps on the framing of the radiator mount, basically, so that things would line up, and hook it to his truck and pull it back out. And I was like, I don't know about that. But then the more I thought about it, I'm like, it might work. And sure enough, we were able to pull that front framing out about, I think we pulled it out about 4 or 5 inches in the end. But the hood's closed. It's actually functional now. I was able to drive it, like I said, 20 miles today. But I share all that because when I look at life through my Uncredible lens, this is what Uncredible is. Uncredible is trying to exceed life's expectations even while it's throwing these random acts of disaster at you. You just keep pushing. You get back up. You keep setting a high standard for yourself and those around you. And you bring the people around you with you, right? You set that high standard. You show them what it is to go above and beyond in your personal life as well as in your professional and family life. You keep pursuing better. Like that's what it is. And you can only do that for yourself. You can't make other people come along, but you can show them. And that's what it means to be Uncredible, to take these life circumstances and conquer them and conquer them repeatedly. So that's our main topic. We'll shift over to our quote of the week. We're going to skip the podcast feature. But yeah, that, when I look at the world through my Uncredible lens, it's average people doing not so average things. That's the whole thing, man. That's the whole thing. All right, let's get into our quote of the week. And I don't know, hopefully I've been off on this a little bit when I do it on the camera. But the quote of the week is, what seems hard now will one day be a warm-up. What seems hard now will one day be a warm-up. Now, it's ironic that this showed up on Monday because so I wrecked the car, and I've wrecked a lot of cars in my time. 43 years old. I have hit deer. I have wrecked car after car after car. And I've become kind of a pro at repairing them. I mean, most people would have junked this car. They would have looked at it and said, nope, that's going to the junkyard. I immediately came home from work Monday morning, pulled the hood, got basically all the bad parts off, and then stepped back and looked at it. And first of all, tearing that all apart was nothing to me. My son came out. We have the tools. We knocked it out. We threw everything in a pile, and I stepped back, and I looked at it, and I go, I can fix this. In fact, I actually took it out for a drive with no hood, no headlight, no fender. After all the parts were pulled out, I just wanted to hear if it would work. And all of that is, This is a disaster, a life-changing disaster for some people, but because I've been through this so many times it's one of the reasons I buy junk cars, because this type of thing happens. But I was telling my son this morning, I was like, dude, that headlight came. I smashed that deer on Monday or Sunday night, and we have it back on the road running minus the fender in 5 days. It's absurd. Most people wouldn't even know how to start pulling the hood off. But between my challenges over the years of having accidents and working on junk cars and going to junkyards, I know how all this stuff goes together. So it's like, I don't sit there and fret over it. I just pull out the number 10 and number 12 millimeter and start cranking on it. So anyway, all that to say, what seems hard now will one day just be a warm-up. I see that with my training. I was joking with my son, like I said, that, I'm barely going to get over 20 miles this week. But then I'm like, I've already ran 11 miles this week, and that's an absurd amount of mileage for most average people. And I look at that as like a failure. I mentioned that earlier, but it's like, if you just keep doing what you're doing, before you know it, what seemed difficult and hard in a year, 2 years, 5 years, it's just going to be a warm-up. It's going to be easy peasy. So let's go ahead and wrap things up. As always, thanks for listening to the Uncredible Podcast. Remember to like and subscribe, whichever platform you're on. If you're on Spotify, YouTube, give it the like, give it the subscribe. It's important for the algorithms to get the word out there. Check out the clips too. Share the clips if you can on YouTube. I've been posting those like crazy. I hope that helps. I hope it gets the word out. Also, like and subscribe. I already did that on YouTube. Oh, remember to subscribe on the Substack or get connected on the Substack. That's where everything is at. So that's where you want to go to get the articles, the podcast episodes, the clips, the posts. I post a lot of stuff on Instagram, but I put the posts on Substack as well. If you want to see real time, this stuff that I talk about in the episode, like what's happening, I post it the day it happens. So check that out. I didn't queue up the Uncredible merch, but Uncredible merch at merch.uncredible.me. I'm wearing one of my favorites. I will say this: something happened this week that kind of made me sad. I've often said that this material shirt is like a $32 shirt. I think this material, this polyester, I can't remember. I think it's like a premium shirt, whatever, on Redbubble. I've been so proud of these shirts. They haven't cracked. This labeling has stayed perfect the whole time. I finally had one of my shirts, this material that is the printing, started to crack the other day. I'm going on about a year, but I've ran in that shirt so much, and it's long overdue, but it's starting to do what I would expect it to. I'll wear it for one of the episodes here and share what's going on with it. But I got a solid year out of the shirt, and I mean, I beat that shirt up on purpose. I would buy this if I buy a shirt from Redbubble again, it's going to be this kind of shirt. They come out great. They last for at least a year of running, not just a year of usage, but of running. So check that out, merch.uncredible.me. You're going to see more stuff coming out there too. I'm working on some new shirt designs for that. So also follow on Instagram if you're interested in pretty much the day-to-day, the runs, and any funny thing that's happening in my life. You'll catch it out there. That's at Jeremy Lundmark. And as always, thanks for watching and for listening. And remember, stay uncredible.
We are the night shift,
Swing shift,
day shift,
no quit,
no quit,
no quit.
building their world while they talk about us.
Talk about us, talk about us.
We are Uncredible. We are the night shift,
Swing shift,
day shift,
no quit,
no quit.
no quit.
We are the night shift,
Swing shift,
day shift,
no quit,
no quit.
no quit.
Building their world
Building their world.
while they talk about us.
All they talk about us.
Educated,
Experience,
still not credible.
so we embraced it.
Now we're uncredible.